106.1 Rock Radio, I'm Steve Berry and I'm looking at what I think is one of the last manifestations of Great Britain's time as a superpower. Do you know what it reminds me of, Vince? Vince is one of the guides here at Manchester Airport. It reminds me of HMS Victory. It's a physical manifestation of Britain as a global superpower, this Nimrod.
Yeah, it's a very impressive looking machine, isn't it, Steve? I must admit, to stand here, it's quite substantial. As I said before, it's based on an airliner, the Comet, but it actually looks a lot more substantial than that. It's bristling with aerials, it's got a big refuelling probe sticking out the front, it's got pods on the end of the wings with electronic countermeasures and things in them. It really is an impressive looking machine.
It must have been a hell of a target, though, for our mortal enemies. When a Nimrod flew, Vince, presumably, with its massive range, 17-hour operational range, no fighter could have stayed with it. Did it have a fighter escort?
It depends what it was doing, Steve. In certain instances, it would have had a fighter escort if it was in danger of being attacked by enemy fighters, if it was in range of those. But a lot of the time, it wasn't. They were very much lone hunters. It's named after Nimrod, the mighty hunter. Very much a lone hunting machine, usually.
Absolutely. But it doesn't seem to have the much. It's not exactly bristling with weaponry, is it, Vince?
Well, under the wings, Steve, you might notice a couple of little hard points hanging down. Those were capable of hanging missiles on them, either anti-ship or anti-aircraft missiles.
Oh, where are the missiles, Vince? That's not fair.
Well, they wouldn't let us have any, Steve. It's spoil sports, aren't they?
So it was, contrary to my opining, that it's just a big old boss, which would have been easy prey for any enemy fighters. The Nimrod was quite capable of defending itself.
It was a fighting machine, primarily against maritime targets, but it could also fight against other aircraft, and it was very manoeuvrable. It looked like a big old airliner sat here, but it's got massive control surfaces, and it had a nickname of the Vomit Comet, because the people that went on it, sometimes, obviously not the guys who served on it all the time, but visitors who flew on a Nimrod would be surprised at just how it was thrown around the sky for such a big aeroplane. It really was very manoeuvrable.
And who would those people have been? Would that have been like politicians, maybe when somebody got the job at Defence Minister or something like that? Would say, send him up in the Vomit Comet, that'll give him...
I think that was probably it, Steve, because not many people would have had the privilege of being on a Nimrod, because a lot of what it did was classified. But yeah, that would be the sort of occasion, I think, when that might happen.
Vince, you've got it here at the airport now. You're just putting the final touches, I can see, to making it into a permanent... Is it going to be a permanent exhibition? How long is the Nimrod going to be here for?
Well, as far as we know, it's always going to be here now. It was delivered here in April this year. The RAF have now decommissioned it. We've done what we need to get it going. We're just putting the final touches to the power side of things, and it's available for tours now. It has been for the last couple of weeks.
And is all its work now done by satellites, presumably, and stuff like that? Do you need an aircraft to do the work that the Nimrod did these days?
Well, there's a bit of a sad story there, Steve, because the Nimrod MRA-4 was going to take over from this aeroplane, also built down the road at Woodford. That has just recently been cancelled in the Defence Review, so we do have a little bit of a hole in our capabilities now that aeroplane's gone.
Haven't we subcontracted all that stuff to the Americans and the French?
Well, that's the theory, Steve. Let's see if it works.
Bit of politics on the breakfast show. So, just finally, Vince, when can people come down, and how much is it, and all that sort of stuff?
We'll go on the website, and on there are all the details of the tours that we run on the Nimrod and the Concorde, and we do sell gift vouchers as well. Now, there's an idea for a Christmas present: gift vouchers for tours on the aeroplane. Here's the website: www.manchesterairport, all one word, .co.uk/Concorde or /Nimrod. They both take you to the same place, and you can book tours.
Thanks for letting us both have a look round, Vince. It's been absolutely fascinating, hasn't it, Rach?
I feel so giddy now, I really do.
This is 106.1 Rock Radio at Manchester Airport, next to the mighty Nimrod.